Who is going to be the best placing Tren twin? Is it going to be Mikey or will it be Chris? Well, I'm going to let you know. Stay tuned to find out. Coach Greg and the Tren twins are finally competing. Who is going to come out on top? We have twins battling for first place. They just posted on their Instagram and it says, competing for alpha twin Johnson size. What exactly are we getting ready for? I thought they were doing a bodybuilding competition, but they're standing there in women's posing trunks. I don't know what it is with men. They're wearing women's posing trunks, and you can see that because from the rear, you can see they have a scrunch bum. And so you can see Chris, he appears to be a lot taller. I do think it's just because he has longer hair. And Mike in the red trunks, he does appear to be a bit smaller. However, Chris is simply mogging Mike in this pose. He's standing just ever so slightly closer to the camera. And the closer you are to the camera, the bigger you are going to appear. One thing I noticed from this shot is that Chris is experiencing some swelling of the glutes, les gluteos. You can see there's some protruding, there's some swelling. This is often what happens when you're doing glute shots. If you're a bodybuilder and you've been competing for several years, there's no way this hasn't happened to you. Trust me, it's happened to me in the past, but you do need to be careful. Very important to rotate shots so you don't get more swelling than last time. I don't know if I can like this one. I mean, I have to admit, two guys standing there in female posing trunks, it's a little sus. Are you guys Johnsons the same size? Now, earlier, of which you didn't listen to this woman to my left, she actually said, well, who did you say was bigger? The one that was bigger. Who do you think was bigger?
Mike's. Isn't he doing the bodybuilding like me? Not.
And so she thought Mike had the bigger downstairs because he appeared to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, it has nothing to do with your size. If you have 50 pounds of extra muscle, it doesn't mean the downstairs is bigger. If anything, the balls are going to look smaller, which could in fact make the Johnson look that much bigger. Now, if I was in this competition, it wouldn't be fair because I literally have the cheat code. It's called Harder Than Last Time. You know what it's for. Code Greg, 15% off. Can you come press your button on your phone again? Who has a safety on their phone this short? She's clearly hiding something. What is this woman trying to hide from me? It's a 15-second timer code. Press the code. This is the 10th time I've done this.
And it's a 6-digit code. I don't know. I don't make the rules.
Anyway, red flag number 15,042.
I don't know how to change it.
I'm the real winner looking at this photo. I'm going to argue that you are the loser by looking at this photo, but hey, that's just my opinion. To each their own. Staring at one thing and one thing only right now. I'm not sure that me, perhaps I'm hoping it's Chris's longer hair. Kind of looks like Kramer. Are they sharing the same panties? Well, clearly not. One has red panties and the other has blue panties. And what they are is female posing trunks. They have the scrunch bum in the back to give the overall illusion of having even greater gluteus than last time. Les gluteos, we say in Spanish. But hey, les fesses en l'air, ça regarde meilleur que la dernière fois. The thong twins.
I like that.
Mike gonna win and Chris finna be pissed off. Watch. And so if you've been a fan of the Tren twins, you'd probably notice that Mikey does in fact seem to be the more aggressive one. He seems to be more angry. He seems to be more on edge. And when I did in fact meet the Tren twins, I did get the same vibe. I believe that Chris a little bit more laid back, a little bit more relaxed. But hey, what happens if Mikey wins the competition? You come press the code?
I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was Mike that...
Poor judges. I don't know how they're going to choose. Well, actually, it's going to be very easy. Stay tuned to find out why.
We're just going to go sit down, enjoy our last meal, go to bed.
And so you can see the scrunchum clearly. This is not proper posing attire for men. I've seen many people do this before. And remember, as a former judge, I don't like to see this. Men are wearing the scrunchums thinking, oh, it's going to show off more glutes. We don't need to see that. It's not doing you any favors. Please don't wear women's posing trunks on stage.
Then where's your carbs at? I don't got any carbs. It's peak week. It's not like you're eating carbs the entire week. It's not, oh, go eat whatever you want.
Okay, and so this is what happens in peak week. The first several days, you do what's known as a carb deplete. You deplete the muscles of glycogen. That way, when you reintroduce carbs, you'll have greater glycogen stores and have fuller looking muscles than last time. And for the first 3 days, you're cutting out carbs. You're mostly eating proteins and sometimes a little bit of vegetables. These 3 days are a living nightmare. You have hardly any calories, you're drinking a ton of water, you always need to go to the bathroom, and life literally sucks. You have brain fog, you don't know what you're doing, you can barely get through your workouts in the gym. All the while, you're still doing your cardio, still getting your weightlifting programs in, but what I suggest is people train less hard than last time. You don't have the nutrients, you're perhaps at 5% body fat, you're feeling like garbage, and so you simply go to the gym and go through the motions. This is where posing is paramount. It's very important that you practice your posing harder than last time. Not much can be done. Consider this. If you train half-assed in the gym the final week, do you really think you're going to lose all that much muscle? Of course not, especially when you're the Tren twins and you're clearly using Tren. After that depletion, they're going to be reintroducing the carbs. Their glycogen stores are going to go up, and so they're going to be eating more things like rice, potatoes, rice cakes, and carbs from any source that they want. Oftentimes, people will even eat candies, chocolates, cookies, and so on. It's a very enjoyable time for the competitors. Think of it. For past 3 or 4 months, they haven't been eating crumble. And all of a sudden, they can reintroduce crumble into their diet, and so you feel amazing. You're going to see your body go through so many changes. It's very, very exciting, and I can't wait to see the changes are in store for the Tren twins.
We got a little sushi refeed here. I'm acting calm, but on the inside, I'm literally...
And so a sushi refeed in the final week of preparation, I don't recommend it. Why are we refeeding? Why do you need a refeed? Last I checked, refeeds are for people who earned it. People who suffered greater than ever before. Peak weight is about depleting the body of everything. Less calories, more cardio. You are trying to do everything at this point to peak properly for competition.
Look, there's a retro fitness, so we can go do cardio right after eating all this sushi.
And so think of it. They're going to eat a bunch of sushi, then they're going to go to the gym and do cardio to burn it off. What logical sense does that make? Why don't we just skip out on the sushi and do normal amounts of cardio?
Honestly, there's barely any rice in here.
And so I would hope there isn't much rice because they're depleting. If you deplete while eating too many carbs, you're kind of defeating the point now, aren't you? When you deplete yourself of carbs, you shouldn't be eating all that many carbs. If you are, you're not going to go into ketosis and you're not going to get the same glycogen reload that you're looking for.
We're actually not putting on mass at this point. We're just trying to maintain and keep the pump and look great while doing it. So that's what we're going to do.
Exactly. They're not training all that hard. They're just going to go through the motions, maintain the pump, keep the food moving around. You can't sit there and relax. Your brain isn't working very well at this point, and so you just keep going to the gym, keep doing what you've been doing. You don't want to make any major changes into your training. Just train a little bit easier. Don't push so hard, but certainly keep going to the gym. And so at this stage, when I'm prepping my clients, I suggest they go to the workout, they get a pump, they perhaps do 50% of the volume. Don't train to absolute failure, just train to look good. And after this, pose more than ever before. You can make the most amount of changes during peak week with your posing. This is where you practice displaying your physique to the best of your abilities. A small tweak here, tweak there, and you can significantly improve the look of your physique on stage.
I could come in 10 times better than I am for the show. And it just pisses me off. You live and learn.
And so he's saying, look, I'm pissed off. I could have came in 10 times better for this show. But listen, this comes to do with what I was saying. If in your off season, you're not eating too many calories, you're not bulking up too much, it's much easier to diet. Also, I have this cheat code, and some of you are aware of it. Cookbook 3.1. You may or may not realize this, but this is the best dieting book in the world. I've sold nearly 100,000 copies. You thought it was 100? You thought it was 1,000? Nearly 100,000 copies. And why do you think that is? Because it's absolutely mind-blowing how good it is. If you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to be full, you're trying to get a lot of protein, fiber, and so on, this is the ultimate book you could ever get in your entire life. If you get the cookbook and try it year-round, you will be shocked at how much easier dieting is. Tren Twins, on your next diet, try incorporating some of these meals from the cookbook, whether it's in the off-season or on pre-contest, and you will be significantly improved in your physique on stage.
I feel like Arnold, bro, when he's talking about pump, every time he gets pumped, he's nutting. Sometimes it really be like that, like it feels so good.
And so when you've been dieting for this long and you hardly have any joy in your life, you're hardly eating any food, I'm telling you, the pump is real, the pump is sick. It may not be as good as letting out the demons, but it is a great feeling when your chest is full and pumped, the vascularity is coming out, and you're flexing the biceps and checking yourself on the mirror. That is the highlight of your day. And out of the 24 hours in a day, that's probably the only hour, perhaps 2 if you're at the gym, that you actually enjoy. Everything else is a nightmare, and if it isn't a nightmare, you haven't dieted hard enough. The Tren twins know they could have dieted harder, but listen, I don't think they need to. For your first competition, you look great. You don't have to walk in looking like an IFBB pro. You're just novice competitors. It's your first time being on stage. And so you don't even have to win. You get a feel for it. Enjoy the journey. If you like the diet and you like getting up on stage, you can always diet harder than last time the second time around. At that point, of course, then you can get the cookbook. You know, you're now more experienced, you know what really matters, and so with the aid of the cookbook, by not bulking up too much in the off season, you can look significantly more shredded come showtime. Code REG, 15% off, click the link in the description.
If you want to do biceps, we're doing back already.
Okay, we do a bicep. You be happy with that?
Yeah, I think I'll be
Biceps over food, right? Biceps over food?
Hell no. Honestly, over chicken, just my next meals are just protein, so yeah.
And so at this point, most competitors would describe their physiques as being flat. And why are they flat? Well, because they're only eating protein. Perhaps protein and fats, a little bit of vegetables, but their glycogen stores are very low. Glycogen is formed with glucose combined with 3 grams of water for every 1 gram of glucose. And so the muscles are literally swelling up. If you're low on glycogen, you're not going to have the same size, the same pumps, and you're going to feel small. That's what people mean when they describe themselves as feeling flat. But later on, towards the end of peak week, they're going to be consuming more carbohydrates than last time, sometimes 1,000 grams or more on even one single day, and the muscles are going to swell out. That combined with cutting back on water, sometimes even the use of diuretics, and you will be amazed at the transformation you can make in 1 week during peak week.
This was workout meal.
Meal 3 is a chicken breast wrapped in lettuce. It's literally all they're going to eat, and they're probably starving. And so what they could do is add in more spinach than last time. They could make triple layers of lettuce. They could be eating spinach. They could add in more vegetables for more volume. That would allow them to be full. But one thing they don't want to do is consume too much fiber. They don't want to get bloated, so it's a very difficult time. Peak week is a time of suffering. At this point, during peak week, this is the only time where I have to reduce meals from my cookbook. For 51 out of 52 weeks of the year, you can eat meals from my cookbook every single day. But during peak week, when the carbs have to be cut down to almost nothing, this is the only time when you're going to have to suffer.
I don't even care about food. I don't even look forward to it, so it doesn't even matter because it's literally just chicken. Like, as much as you complain, it's really just I'm so close to the show, it doesn't even matter to me.
Yeah, and so food doesn't matter, and then as soon as he's done meal 3, literally seconds later, he eats meal 4. You couldn't wait the several hours in order to eat meal 4. And so if you think that dieting isn't hard, trust me it is. These guys, they care a lot. They want to win this competition. But even as bad as they want it, it's still very hard to stick to a diet.
Oh, you can eat sushi? So you can eat more? I probably can. No. I know for a fact I can get a girlfriend. You're afraid to get fat and shit. Not me. I ain't afraid of shit. I'll get fat. You literally said I can't get fat. Because Carly, I have a hot girlfriend. That's not gonna stop me from eating 5,000 calories a day to put on. I want to be 250, bro. Yeah, I want to be 250 lean. That's gonna take 10 years.
And so Chris says he can eat more than Mikey. Mikey thinks the opposite. Who knows who can eat more? But hey, let's not try and find out. Let's not make it a competition of who can get the fattest and sloppiest in the off season. Chris is saying in the off season, I want to be 250. He's 5'6". What does he want to do? Look like Mike Israetel? I gotta laugh over there. Mike Israetel is the exact same height as the Tren twins, and so is Coach Greg. And trust me, you don't need to weigh 250 pounds to look good at 5'6". If he does in fact bulk to 250, he's gonna look like a fat piece of shit. I don't recommend it. Why would you do that? Even Mikey says, what do you think this is? You can't go on one bulk, get up to 250 pounds, and expect to look lean. It's going to take 10 years. And so great advice from Mikey. Rare, but he had good advice today.
We decided that I'm just going to be competing in open. Chris is going to do classic.
And what I suggested when I was coaching them is they should both be doing classic. The weight limit for their height at 5'6" tall, if they're in fact the same height as me, at amateur, it's 183 pounds and pros, 193 pounds. And so would it not make more sense to compete in classic, 183 pounds, and perhaps in a year, go for their IFBB Pro card? Once reaching the IFBB Pro status, they can then add 10 more pounds of muscle. Compete at 183, turn pro, and as a pro, add on 10 more pounds of muscle and compete at 193. Yet Mikey is already going to be competing as an open class bodybuilder. And what open class really means, they have several different weight classes. I'm assuming he's going to be a light heavyweight bodybuilder. Light heavyweight, the division ends at 198 pounds. I believe it would be far smarter, far healthier to compete in classic. Why? Well, why do you think? They have a weight class. 183 pounds. That's the biggest you can be. And so let's say he's bigger than that, 189 pounds. Do you really think he's as lean as he could be? Do you think he dieted as hard as he could possibly diet? Of course not. And so if he were to get into mind-blowing conditioning, he could get down to 183 pounds. And if he were shredded at 183, what do you think his chances would be for winning? Very, very high. And also, when you're limited by a weight class, you can't take all the drugs in the world. And so, for example, you wouldn't be taking Tren, you would be doing lower doses, and inevitably, that is going to mean you're a lot healthier. With weight restrictions, you can't take everything. And so let's take Chris Bumstead, for example. Chris is limited. He can only weigh approximately 242 pounds. If Chris were to switch to open bodybuilding and compete for the Mr. Olympia in the open, he would have to get significantly bigger. And to get bigger, how do you think he would do that? He would have to perhaps double, maybe even triple the dose of the drugs that he's taking. Not healthy. And so would it not be smarter for the Tren twins earlier in their career to compete in Classic? Classic has weight restrictions preventing them from getting overly massive and allowing them to stay on smaller doses. Now, eventually, if they turn pro and add on 10 more pounds of muscle and still don't think they're big enough, then well, at that point, they can switch over into the 212 class. But I still wouldn't suggest it. When you try to get as big as humanly possible, the drugs, the doses, everything is going to keep climbing. It's not healthy. And one thing we don't want is for the Tren twins to grow up and be like Mike. The crippling anxiety, the side effects, the thoughts of violence, everything from doing higher doses, much healthier to stay classic. Why pursue being in open?
My weigh-ins, I gotta hit 182. I'm 184. Yeah, just a few more days. All right, see you next week. Sessions of cardio and a few more hours of rotting until my next meal.
And so Chris says he has to hit 182 and he's currently 184. Do you know how easy it is to drop 10 pounds in the final week? If Chris said he was 194 pounds and he had to weigh 184 pounds, very easily he could do this. The last week, you're cutting all the water from your body, you get dehydrated, and that's when you truly look shredded. Seeing as Chris is competing in Classic, I think he's going to place higher than Mikey. I think Chris in Classic makes more sense. It's the better choice, the better decision. Mikey is going to be up against larger competitors, while Chris is competing against guys who can only weigh up to 183. But time will tell. Will they do their peak week properly? I do believe they're in great hands with Coach Kyle, who's going to be properly peaking them for this competition. Hopefully, they both look shredded, but if not, remember, it's their first competition. They shouldn't have all the pressure in the world sitting on their shoulders. And I do think the Tren twins look amazing. I do believe that if they were to compete against even a guy like Sam Sulik, and Sam is over 230 pounds right now, I do believe the Tren twins, both of them, would beat even Sam Sulik. And so hopefully you don't think I'm shitting on the Tren twins. I think they have amazing physiques. They look very good. They have small waist, wider shoulders, large, full muscle bellies. And I think if they are in fact shredded, they can easily dominate the competition.
They get a whole cake in there, bro. What is that? What is that one?
One mistake I don't suggest that you make is having all the carb up meals in your face before it's ready to carb up. They've got their crumble, multiple options, but if they're not ready to carb up, sometimes you can't stop. I once prepped a national level competitor. I gave him some of the treats that he was going to be eating. I said, okay, you're going to start those treats in 24 hours. And guess what? They were all gone that night. Calls me up and says, Coach, I cookbooked up, I ate everything. I'm like, oh my goodness. This happens. And this happens to the best of them. This guy was at 4% body fat. He had striated glutes, cross-striated quads everywhere. He looked sick. He looked unreal. Ended up placing 7th. You have to be proactive. You don't order all the junk food that you're going to be eating, all the treats and candies, and have that in front of you and force yourself to use willpower. Save your willpower for later.
I think I need to go to bed.
The crumble's right in front of him. He clearly wants to eat it. How could you not? They've been dieting for perhaps 16 weeks. They want to eat the crumble. Let me know, who is your favorite? Who is going to come out on top in the end? Only time will tell. Stay tuned for part 2, where I'm going to tell you who came on top. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like this video if you liked it. Of course you liked it. Leave the friggin' like button. You know you do. And of course, watch one of those 2 boobs. And of course, the cookbooks, the circle diet book, the training books, the coaching plans by me and my team, even these harder than last time tank tops and the hoodies, the jogging pants, the sweaters, all that stuff, you can get it on the website. And if you got no money, get over to the website anyway. You get the free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages in length, and join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And of course, if you are in fact natural, you want to use Turk Builder and GO2 Max. Those are the top 2 selling supplements. You know you want them. Code Greg, 15% off. And until next time, I am out.